Okay, so get this. We're diving into a secret weapon for crushing goals.
Hmm.
And the surprising thing is, it's not some crazy new productivity hack.
Okay.
It's actually a technique straight from the world of AI.
You're about to unlock the power of gradient descent.
Really? And I have to ask this right away.
Yeah.
Gradient descent, I feel like I've heard that before, but I can't quite place it.
Yeah, so it's this algorithm, this process that AI uses to learn from massive amounts of data.
Okay. And you sent over this fascinating podcast transcript all about this. And honestly, I'm ready for some aha moment.
For sure. For sure, you're going to have some of those.
But let's start with the basics.
Yeah.
What exactly is gradient descent?
Absolutely. So imagine you're trying to get to the bottom of a hill, but you're blindfolded.
Okay.
You can't see the whole path, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you take these small steps. You're constantly feeling the terrain,
Right.
adjusting your direction based on what you feel.
Based on the feedback from your feet, basically.
Exactly. And that's gradient descent in a nutshell.
So you're like, am I going uphill, downhill? Is there a ditch in front of me? And then you figure out your next move.
Precisely. You're constantly taking in information and using it to figure out your very next step.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this connects to AI.
Right.
But how does this translate to actually achieving goals in the real world?
It's all about the learning process, you see.
Okay.
Just like AI uses gradient descent to learn from all that data.
Right. Tons of data.
Exactly. We can use this same principle to learn from our experiences and make smarter choices to get what we want in life.
So it's like having this built-in system for making better decisions.
I love how you put that. That's a great way to think about it.
An optimization algorithm for life.
Exactly.
I love it. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm all about those big wins.
Yeah,
you know?
right,
Those
yeah.
massive achievements. But you keep mentioning small steps. What's that all about?
That's where things get super interesting.
Oh.
This idea of small steps leading to massive change.
Right.
That's actually backed by both hard science and what we see constantly in the natural world.
Really?
Oh, yeah. For example, our brains, they literally rewire themselves through this process called neuroplasticity.
It's like when you learn a new language or something.
Exactly. Every new thing we learn, every habit we build happens little by little, connection by connection.
Makes sense. But it's not just our brains, right?
No way. It's everywhere in nature. Think about it. A tiny seed becoming this mighty oak tree.
Wow. Yeah.
It happens so slowly, year after year.
Right.
Or even the Grand Canyon, as huge as it is, that was carved out by the Colorado River.
Just a little bit at a time.
Drop by drop, over millions of years. It's incredible.
Mind-blowing. So you're saying that consistent effort, even in small doses, can lead to monumental change.
Absolutely. And you know what? Speaking of monumental change,
Yeah.
think about a company like Airbnb.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Their whole story is like gradient descent in action.
Really? Because they didn't start out as this global empire, did they?
No, not at all. Just a couple of guys, an air mattress, and a very interesting idea.
So how does Airbnb connect to gradient descent?
They just kept iterating.
What does that mean? Iterative.
Starting small, they were constantly testing, gathering feedback, tweaking their business model based on what they learned.
So they didn't let those early setbacks, those versions of Airbnb that weren't quite there yet, get to them.
Exactly.
Right.
They used all those experiences, those setbacks, as stepping stones
Fascinating.
to figure out what worked, what didn't, and ultimately achieve this massive success.
So is that what you mean by avoiding those local minima? Local minima? Is that like hitting a wall in your progress?
You're on the right track. It's like you've climbed to the top of a hill feeling pretty accomplished, but then you realize there's a whole mountain range behind it.
Wow. Okay. I'm starting to get that aha moment you promised.
Right. It's easy to get comfortable when you've reached a certain level of success in any area of life.
For sure.
But this idea of local minima, it reminds us that what we perceive as the top might just be a stepping stone.
So that good job, that comfortable routine,
Exactly.
it might actually be holding us back from something even more incredible.
It's like thinking you've reached the peak of your career when there's a whole other level of impact and fulfillment you haven't even considered.
That's both exhilarating and a little scary, to be honest.
It's about pushing those boundaries.
Yeah.
Breaking free from those self-imposed limitations.
Okay, I'm all for pushing boundaries, but how do we actually start applying this whole gradient descent thing to our own lives?
It starts with getting clear on what you want.
So like setting goals.
Yes, but even more fundamental than that.
Okay.
We need to define our own loss function.
Loss function. That sounds a little intense.
It sounds more complicated than it is.
Okay.
In AI, the loss function helps the algorithm figure out what it's trying to minimize or maximize.
So like in our lives, it's about figuring out what matters most to us.
Exactly. What are those pain points you want to minimize? Maybe it's procrastination, that feeling of being overwhelmed.
Or on the flip side, maybe it's about maximizing things like happiness, creativity.
Yes. Or making a real difference in the world. Whatever it is for you, it's about getting crystal clear on what you want to achieve or move away from.
Okay, that makes sense. But those algorithms, they need data, right?
Yeah.
How do we measure our progress in this whole personal gradient descent thing?
That's where setting specific measurable goals comes in.
So instead of just saying, I want to be healthier,
Right. It's about getting specific and actionable.
like I'm going to cook at home 4 nights a week, or I'm going to walk for 30 minutes every day.
Exactly. Those measurable goals, they become your data points, your feedback mechanism.
So we're constantly gathering information, just like that blindfolded person feeling their way down the hill.
And just as important, we need to be willing to adjust our approach based on that feedback.
Course correction.
Precisely.
So we've got our loss function figured out. We've set some crystal clear goals. We're making those course corrections as we go out. What else is there? It feels like there's more to this whole gradient descent thing. So we've got our loss function, our clearly defined goals. We're making those course corrections along the way. Is there anything else? It feels like we're missing something.
You're right. We need to talk about those plateaus, those moments where it feels like we've hit a wall. Remember those local minima we talked about earlier?
Oh, right. Those sneaky spots that can trick us into thinking we've reached our full potential.
Exactly. We need a way to break free from those plateaus, and that's where momentum comes in.
Momentum. Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So in AI, momentum helps the algorithm escape those local minima. It's basically a little boost that helps you power through those tough spots and avoid getting stuck.
So it's like giving yourself a little extra push, even when the progress feels small.
Exactly. And the more small wins you rack up, the more you start to believe in your ability to achieve your goals.
Right.
It creates this positive feedback loop.
So those small wins, they're not just nice to have, they actually fuel our motivation to keep going.
Absolutely. Each win builds upon the last, creating this ripple effect of momentum. And think about it. As you continue on this journey of personal growth, you're naturally going to gather more knowledge, more experience.
So it's like our own personal momentum builds over time as we learn and grow. I love that. But we can't forget about regularization. That one still kind of throws me off a bit, to be honest.
Right. Regularization. It sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty straightforward.
Okay, good, because all these terms were starting to make my head spin a little.
Well, think of it this way in AI. Regularization prevents those algorithms from getting too focused on just one thing. It helps them stay adaptable and well-rounded.
So instead of putting all of our eggs in one basket, it's about finding balance in different areas of our lives.
Exactly. It's like making sure you're not just killing it in your career at the expense of your health or relationships, or vice versa.
It's about finding that sweet spot where you're growing and optimizing, but not at the cost of neglecting other important aspects of your life.
You got it. It's all about progress, not perfection. And that's the beauty of gradient descent. It's a continuous journey of learning, adapting, and growing.
Wow, this whole conversation has been a real eye-opener. Who knew that AI could teach us so much about achieving our goals and living a more fulfilling life?
Right. It's amazing how these concepts from the tech world can offer such powerful insights into personal growth.
It really is. And you know, the thing that really clicked for me was that idea of momentum. It's so easy to get discouraged when things get tough. But now I'm going to focus on those small wins, those stepping stones that keep me moving forward.
That's the spirit. And remember that AI-generated music we talked about, that beautiful, complex music, all created through gradient descent. It's proof that incredible things can happen when we embrace this idea of small, consistent steps towards a larger goal.
This whole deep dive has been truly inspiring. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some goals to crush.
Go get them.
Yeah,
You got this.
In the dark we start to fight. Feel the storm inside the night. We hold on with all our might, chasing dreams till morning light. Waves crash hard against the shore, but still we strive for some melts away when we are near. In this journey so sincere, together we will persevere. We rise above, we rise above, with all the strength of our love. We rise above, reaching heights we dreamed of. We rise above.
Welcome to AI Talk, where the future is now. Today, let the rhythm of progress lead you somehow. Imagine the soundscape that pulses innovation, a melody that defies all limitation. We're breaking barriers, we're pushing the line, exploring new frontiers.